back to The Factor Uncensored. We have remained vigilant here to showcasing the dangers of the drug epidemic in the U.S. New research suggests the fight against fentanyl will continue to be an uphill battle. 31 states are reporting an increase in deaths caused by the drug, including Texas. Those numbers rising by 28% in 2023 alone. Dr. Danish from the Archpoint Pain Institute joins us now with an update on this ongoing ugly problem.
Just recently, within the past year, we've seen 111,000 deaths related to drug overdoses. And of those, 77,000 of them were related to fentanyl.
Wow, incredible. And so are people still getting fentanyl through other drugs that they don't realize it's in, or is it more intentional now?
Yeah, I think it's that's a good question, Isaiah. And what we saw recently is CDC confiscated some of the fentanyls, and they found that 6 out of 10 of those quote unquote fentanyl pills had lethal amounts of fentanyl in them, amounts that could kill humans. And these are the drugs that are being obtained from the streets. What we've seen is a significant rise in different parts of the country. Specifically, Oregon had a 68% increase in the number of overdose deaths related to fentanyl.
Now, when we talk about fentanyl and we think about the adult casualties, and we don't have any numbers or statistics on this tonight, but I just want you to talk about it. It is affecting children as well, because many times they get their hands on their parents' drugs or somehow ingest drugs in some fashion. So it's just not claiming the lives of adults only.
That's correct, Isaiah. And we've seen that unfortunately, some situations here in Harris County have been that way, where kids obtain these or teenagers obtain these from friends or from, applications on phones. And so, yeah, we are seeing that. Unfortunately, some of these are laced with as candies or M&Ms, or they are, promoted as different things. And unfortunately, a very, very low dose, a very low amount of that medication or of that drug can be lethal. Isaiah, fentanyl is 50 to 60 times more potent than heroin and 100 times more potent than morphine itself.
Incredible, incredible. And I think what we have to do as parents out there, make sure we monitor our teenagers, our kids, know what they're doing and what's going on. Recently, you brought on a mother here on The Factor, and she lost her son. She thought he was doing fine, and they were preparing to go on a journey or a trip the next day, and he wouldn't wake up, and he was gone, and he died as a result of fentanyl. So it's important that families realize and know what's going on with the children in their homes.
That's correct, Isaiah. And it's important for us to talk about it. I'll tell you recently, Oregon, one of the states that has the highest number of deaths related to fentanyl, they decriminalized personal obsession, having drugs in your own collection or holding on to that. They decriminalized that, and that's why we saw such a big increase. And so I think the learning takeaway from that is, I think that we need to continue to discuss this, more importantly, make sure that people are held responsible, because otherwise we're going to be in a situation such as other states that have had a tremendous increase, right? We've seen a 28% increase here in Texas, and whereas in Oregon, it's been 68%. Hence the difference, and hence why, they had decriminalized this, and they have. And unfortunately, we are seeing such an increase because of that in those states.
Any other remaining factors that you want to talk about before we wrap it up here on The Factor?
Yeah. Isaiah, the last thing I want to mention is naloxone is over the counter. This is a medication. This is something that can be given into the nose. It's available for $45 over the counter. Anybody can go pick it up. If you have any family members that take any sort of opioids or drugs, maybe off the streets, or they do marijuana or things that they may be buying from other folks on the streets, keep that medication in the drawer, keep it handy. discuss this with your kids, discuss it with your family members, make sure you have a plan. God forbid something like this happens. And if it does, call 911 immediately.
All right, Dr. Danish Ali, Archpoint Pain Institute. Thank you for joining us tonight here on The Factor.